Greetings, all! Today, we will be examining the relatively common ice bug-type Pokemon Snom, the Worm Pokémon, and its rare evolution Frosmoth, the Frost Moth Pokémon. While they might appear to be too cute and gorgeous for them to be a significant threat to most, the members of the Snom family are intriguing creatures that can certainly make something of themselves with their icy powers.
Snom have small white bodies covered with powdery scales and an icy cocoon that offers both protection and helps to amplify their icy powers. In addition, they have a small set of black pinprick eyes, 2 pairs of small feet used for locomotion, and a single pair of mandibles at the front of their face. Their evolved form, Frosmoth, have rounded, powdery white bodies with small feet that are hidden from sight under a thick coat of fluffy hair, with long billowing antennae on their heads and a pair of bright blue eyes with fleshy markings that give them a gorgeous look. They move around with a pair of large white wings adorned with a snowflake-like design that releases icy scales with every single flap.
The members of the Snom family are interesting insectoids in that they are the only bug types to also be ice types. This is a direct result of them adapting and living within the coldest of environments within the native regions, being able to resist the cold and even thrive in it as part of the natural biological cycle.
Snom in particular cover themselves in a sticky thread containing a freezing energy generated by internal organs that amplify the frigid air inside of them that comes from eating snow, and allows them to make a miniature cocoon of sorts covered in icy spikes that helps to protect their soft bodies, as well as give them access to the signature hidden ability Ice Scales in the right circumstances. While it can be easily shattered, it can also be easily rebuilt, and further helps to insulate their bodies against both heat and cold so they can always maintain a stable body temperature. They will often use this thread to tie their bodies to branches on trees, disguising themselves as icicles when it is time for them to sleep so they are not left completely defenseless against attack. This usually works out well for them as there are very few predatory bird Pokemon that can handle the environments they dwell in, and as a result, they are actually fairly common to find in the few places globally where they can be located. However, it is noted that they tend to not always do so well in extreme heat, as the awkward type combination would likely suggest, so it is important that great care be taken with raising these creatures, especially since they evolve via friendship, and even then only at night, as they tend to mutate and evolve only when being exposed to indirect light from the moon or the stars, and, more importantly, when they are the most safe as most of their key predators are only active in the daytime. As they mature into adulthood, the scales that cover their wings gain the capacity to freeze everything that they touch. This is because their wings and scales exude an icy energy force that cools them and the scales down to negative 209 degrees Fahrenheit. Frostmoth release their ice scales as they fly over fields and mountains naturally, coating their surroundings in the frigid structures and helping to turn their environment into a winter wonderland in their own unique and somewhat gross way. Some do not really enjoy this phenomenon, but others are enthralled by it, and the majestic look of these creatures in flight at a base level, so they are quite popular among tourists and locals alike in places like the Galar region, and especially for the elegant winter courtship dances as well.
Aside from the signature hidden ability, these creatures are also known to only have access to shield dust as a base ability because of the powder scales covering their forms both as infants and as adults.
As far as the stats are concerned, in the case of Frostmoth, while these beasts might not all be that agile and lack much in the way of physical attributes, they at least have some decent stamina to them, having above average base HP stat for a fully evolved bug-type Pokemon, and can both take and deal special damage to a useful degree, their base special attack and special defense stats being above average for a fully evolved ice and bug-type Pokemon, thus giving them some use when placed into the heat of battle, literally or otherwise. In their infantile state, Snom are unable to do much to defend themselves, as they only have access to Struggle Book and Powder Snow attacks until they evolve, and their stats are weak enough that they cannot really do much with them. As a result, they mainly stick to hiding in piles of snow in the daytime, which works well for them as the mineral-rich snow that falls in the native regions serves as the perfect source of energy for them, especially when it is freshly fallen. Moreover, eating this powdered up snow allows them to produce more of this freezing thread and deposit it on their shell, causing the spikes to grow in size. This can also help serve as an indicator for their general health, as Snom with smaller spikes tend to be sicklier and less likely to survive. Thankfully, this is rarely an issue in the wild, as they can generally keep themselves in good condition as long as they are not exposed to extreme heat on a regular basis. While Snom might seem like they can be easy to raise, caution is still recommended, as these creatures have been known to use their freezing thread to tie up those that don't take good care of them, and considering their thread almost completely freezes upon contact with something, this can make them a handful if they get mad and decide to wrap up their owners for not playing or feeding them on time.
Compared to their pre-evolved form, Frostmoth are much more powerful fighters that can make good use of their forms and powers to blow away and freeze those that dare to challenge them.
Aside from getting access to the Icy Wind attack immediately after evolving, these creatures naturally gain access to a great deal of powerful attacks and techniques, especially if raised from a young age, and are known to be a tad more territorial than one might imagine. While these insectoids are normally a benign presence in the wild, using their antennae to sense air currents for navigation, they cannot stand to see others damage and desecrate the fields and mountains they live amongst, and regularly fly above. If they detect or observe any such behavior, they will fly down and relentlessly attack their target, showing no mercy as they fly around rapidly to generate a powerful blizzard to blow them away and halt their activities. This translates into them getting access to some of the best attacks a Pokemon of their type can get a hold of, and as a whole, makes them fairly powerful contenders to have to go up against. Though it is noted that they do not perform so well in extreme heat and prefer clean meltwater as a primary food resource, and thus can be made vulnerable in hot environments, and especially from the extreme heat used in fire-type attacks.
These creatures are easily among both the most adorable and the most majestic of bug-type Pokemon out there, and while I might be a bit biased on that note, I have a feeling that many would agree with me on that note regardless. Snom are just so cute that it's hard to think that anyone would ever want to harm them, but they sadly can make for good fodder for others because of their small size and limited powers. Even so, they can still give those that attack them a bit of a chilly reception, and blend in well enough with snow that they can hide quite easily if it comes to that. Frosmoth, on the other hand, have the same sort of majesty to their appearance in flight that creatures like Volcarona have, even if they might not be anywhere near as powerful. For them, power is rarely a huge issue, as they tend to only live in frigid lands where they are protected against the cold anyways, and they can still get access to some of the best moves that their types can offer, ultimately giving them plenty of bite to work with, so to speak, and making them a potent threat to anyone that dares to confront them, especially if they have the rare Ice Scales ability, which can cut the damage they receive from special attacks in half.
Though the effort needed to fully evolve them can be a bit to handle at first, the members of the Snom family can more than prove to be worth the hassle in many cases. With access to plenty of both direct offensive power and potent techniques like Quiver Dance, there is little aside from extreme heat that can take these beasts down without them putting up a serious fight.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure that you keep watch over them and try not to agitate them outside their native habitats. They might be able to handle a tiny bit of heat, but get them riled up and they might just blanket the entire area around them in icy scales, making it truly seem like a Christmas in July in the coldest sense imaginable.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.